sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized that circle. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out?
What you need to do is be that person that's different
and it's bigger than you think.
Rise from the ashes and fly like
Real
the
quick.
phoenixes that you are.
Write down the person in your life. Good. Keith got you thinking about short video content. Fantastic. Write down the person in your life you know that I want you to write down the healthiest person you know. The healthiest person you know, that if you were to reach out and talk to, you could have an easy conversation with. Not someone that you maybe met once. Someone that, there's something, the healthiest person you know. So everyone hopefully has a pen and paper. I want you thinking a little bit real quick. And it should be someone that pops up, okay? So here's how this works. If a name pops in, write down that name. If a second name kind of pops in, you go, well, this person, write down their name too, but write down the first one that pops up for you. The most positive, the healthiest person you know. Write that down. Okay? All right. So a couple of you guys are brand new on. Help you have a pen and paper. Yeah, if you've got one male, one female, that's fine. So write down the healthiest person that you know right now. Go ahead, write down that name. Everybody got it? Yeah? Okay. Number 2, write down the unhealthiest person that you know. Now, I'm going to expand on this in a minute, but just when you go, yeah, that person not healthy, write that down. Next, write down the name of the most successful person that you know, that you have contact with. Not someone that's like, I've met and I've worked with some people that, mid 9 figures and up, but I couldn't really pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, let's go have lunch, right? So, wealthiest person that you know. Now, some of you are thinking about that in one way.
successful or wealthiest.
Oh, did I say successful first? Okay,
Yes.
Now I want you to do wealthiest. Okay, so this is why I split it up and I confused myself when I did it. I'm sorry. Some of you have success and we think of one thing, and then when we think of wealth, we think of another. So I want you to write down the name of the person that's the most successful, and then if it's the same person, it's the same person. But sometimes the person that is the wealthiest one that we know isn't necessarily what we would consider the most successful, right? Hopefully everybody's making their list. Next name is the happiest person you know. And hopefully next to these names, guys, you're writing out like what they are, right? Like where they would fit on this list. All right, so do we have these? Healthiest, unhealthiest, successful, wealthy, happy. And then we'll go ahead and add the most dramatic, the one that just every time, it's just drama all the time. Now, you can expand on this list a little bit later on if you want to add the most spiritual, if you want to add, wise, if you want to add hardworking, attributes that you think are great. Now, same person can absolutely be repeated. Hopefully the most successful isn't also the most dramatic, but wherever they fit in, happiest, etc. All right. So everybody's got that. Now, draw a line under those people. Real quick, just put top 5. Once you make a list of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, either physically, speaking on the phone with, the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Five people you spend the most time with.
I haven't seen any of my friends for 7 months now.
So if you haven't seen anybody, think of who you're spending time with now. Or if you're constantly on the phone, constantly on Zoom, like, maybe that's it, right? Like I've got a handful of people that I talk to every day, every other day that I haven't necessarily, I've seen in person a couple of times in the past year, but there's a lot of influence because there's a lot of conversation going on, right? So we live in a virtual world in a lot of ways. Figure out who you spend the most time with.
But can I say something? We who still work, I spend time with people on work.
Could be. Who do you spend the most time with? Absolutely.
Okay.
Because people at work, we can all agree, people that we work with, if we're with somebody, those people can end up influencing you, right?
Yeah.
You pick up the way people talk. You're hearing what they're saying around you. Sometimes even if you're not actively participating in the conversation, right? I remember several jobs where you start listening to music you wouldn't listen to because other people are listening to it. People are talking about certain things going on. And so you start looking things up to be able to take part in the conversation with those around you, even if it's not something you're really interested in. Happens, right? Okay. Here's why I'm having you do this. And I want you guys to think about this. Cynics are very fun. And again, I'm going to be giving you guys these slides. There's a ton of information on here. This is about circle of influence and about power teams and the people around you. I've got 30 slides here, 36 slides that you're going to be looking at. So I'm going to give you stuff that you can study on your own. Please. And there's a reason why this is so important. So this quote here from Sean Acker, he's a Harvard psychologist. Cynics are very fond of their limiting belief that people can't change. They're wrong. As Sean Acker says, there's no scientific backing for this. Humans transmit emotions, attitudes, and belief to each other continuously. We alter people all the time. You can alter yourself, but I promise you that you alter others around you. Your influence has more to do with your surroundings than you think, and their influence has more to do with yours. The key to being your best self is surrounding yourself with a strong system. Actively construct your social environments. Quit being a passenger on the journey. Decide your social environment. Don't let it depend on proximity or chance or on how it has always been, but consciously plan which opinions, attitudes, life philosophies you do and do not allow to be in your life. There's a reason that obviously with COVID, I was limited on how many events I could get to. Last year, I was able to get to a few more. This year, I plan on attending a number of different masterminds and other things and virtual ones. And I try to do, even when I'm doing virtual, I try to keep it to smaller groups so I can actually interact with people that I want to interact with. I am very conscious and purposeful in who I connect to and what type of proximity I allow people to have in my life. And here's why. We had this quote yesterday. It came from Jim Rohn, but you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Here's the statistics, guys, and I want to make sure you guys see this. Nicholas Christakis, I think that's how you pronounce it, James Fowler, the Framingham Heart Study. So if a friend of yours becomes obese, you yourself are 45% more likely to gain weight over the next 2 to 4 years. 45% more likely to gain weight if you have a friend that's obese. If a friend of a friend becomes obese, so not even my friends, the friend of a friend, the likelihood of my gaining weight increases by about 20%, even if I don't know them. Do you understand how significant that is? 1 in 5. If a friend of a friend of a friend develops obesity, you're still 10% more likely than random chance to gain weight. That's 3 levels out, guys. Now, it doesn't stop there. If your friend smokes, you're 61% more likely to be a smoker yourself. 61%. If a friend of a friend smokes, 29%. friend of a friend of a friend, the likelihood is still 11%. That's 3 layers out. That's influence. So would it behoove me to consciously decide who I spend time with? Now, here's the flip side of that. Happiness. If the friend of a friend of a friend is happy with their life, then you have a 6% greater likelihood of being happy with yourself. What kind of a difference does 6% make? The study suggests that if people achieved a $10,000 range or raise, it triggers a 2% increase in happiness. $10,000 raise throughout the year, it triggers a 2%. So if a friend of a friend of a friend lives a happy and fulfilling life, I have a chance of being 6% happier. Can we see how significant that is? Guys, if you're not consciously deciding who you let around you, I can't tell you how many times I talk with people and you know, they get gung-ho about something and then they go and they talk to a friend. I was talking recently with a very dear friend of mine who we'll say names and circumstances have been changed to protect parties involved. Talking with a very, very dear friend of mine, and this individual lived their life really having to do as much for themselves as possible. There wasn't the same connection with their parents growing up through their teenage years as they wanted. You know, it was as a teenager, they weren't able to finish high school. They fought tooth and nail for everything that they had. They started working early, and really kind of that, if I'm going to make it, I got to make it on my own kind of approach, right? Some of you guys probably relate to that a little bit. I've got to do this and no one's going to help me with it. Now, some of us, you know, been blessed with all sorts of different advantages, but this individual didn't have that. So they had to fight tooth and nail, but they were scrappy, intelligent, right? But a lot of people just assume because of the situation that all of that intelligence was street smarts, right? Nothing wrong with street smarts, because damn if I don't know a lot of people that don't have a degree but do pretty well for themselves because they understand people. Well, this individual understood people, was street savvy, worked their ass off at every opportunity, and no matter the obstacle, overcame, despite family and friends kind of saying, you know, be happy with what you got, you know, you're lucky if you get this, you're lucky if you get that. Hey, maybe this is the career you should go after. And this person decided that they were going to go in and get their degree. They would, you know, getting a little bit older, working full time, but they just say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay for college. I'm going to get myself my degree. And they did. Now, it took them a few years because they were working full time and they were living their life, but no help from mom and dad, no scholarships, like just working in school and working in school. And this person graduated not too long ago and graduated on, you know, honor roll, excelled at every single thing that they did, highly intelligent. And at the graduation, all of these people around there, what happens when you end up succeeding after being told over and over and over again? How many of you guys, over and again, you had friends and family that said, I just don't think you should. You're probably going to fail. Why don't you try something else? Don't reach so high. Oh my gosh, you're going to be so disappointed. I don't want you to hurt, right? On and on and on. And then once you do, what do they say? I knew you could do it. You were so, like, you were always going to be able to, like, I just knew it. You're a star. I always believed in you, right? They love cheering you on at that moment. Luckily, this individual had the fortitude to push through no matter what, right? And from time to time would have some positive influences, would have some help. But man, fighting against that negativity and that drama and the, you know, lack of belief in their capability was hard. I want you to look at your life and look at where you're at now. What are you doing where if you look at that list of the 5 people around you, are these people that are lifting you up, that are edifying you, that can truthfully say, hey, I want to see you succeed, and that believe in you, so that you don't hear from this person that says, hey, well, I just, I saw you doing what you were doing. And I mean, I kind of just felt you were, you had the street smarts, but I didn't think you'd see it all the way through. So I'm so glad you did, though. How many people are around you saying, I know you're fighting for this right now, but damn it, if you aren't formidable in your approach to life, you can do this. Right? How many of the people around you, that those 5 people, would you say are happy, that can help increase your happiness? How many of them are healthy, that can help increase your health? How many of them have the type of income that you want to achieve? Because guys, that plays into it too. Why don't you take a look? If you wrote a list of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, most of you guys have a general idea how much people make, right? Some people talk about it, some don't, but you probably have a general idea. Take a look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about what their income may be. Average it out. There's a very good chance you're somewhere in the middle of that. That's just statistically. Now, we have some anomalies. We always do. But statistically, that will hold true. So you got to think about this circle that you have around you of influence and what they're going to be doing for you. Okay. Dr. David McClellan said, the people you habitually associate with determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. The people you habitually associate with determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. Hopefully I don't have to read that a 3rd time, but ladies and gentlemen, you should pick that up. That should be on your wall. Every time you go, you're getting ready to go out and meet some friends. You're getting ready for a get together. You're deciding on, how long you're going to spend on the phone with a friend or family member. You got to go, okay, I'm about to get on the phone with, I don't need to ask for a show of hands, but I've got some family members that I don't spend a lot of time on the phone with. They don't make it into my circle of influence. They're in my circle of love forever, but they will not be in my circle of influence because I can't do it. Right? Anxiety, drama, frustration, negativity, disbelief. I don't need that in my life. So I love you. I will, I'll cheer you on days that you need cheering on. I'll reach out and I'll say hi, but like, I'm not going to spend 2, 3, 4 hours, even a week, or honestly, I mean, it's harsh to say, and I know I'm recording this. And so, maybe if some of my family watched it, but a month, like, I'm trying to live my life a certain way and you're not on that pathway. And I love you to death. And I will fight for you if you need it. And I will help you if you need it. And I would fly across the country to help you if that's necessary. But I can't have you disturb my peace and my pathway. Right? You've got to kind of make that decision for yourself. So let me hit some of these comments. I enrolled in college at 31, got a business degree just because I felt like I needed it. There you go. It's great going to school. As an adult, wealth of life experience, friends and family were supportive, and that's fantastic. But if you wanted the degree, then support is great. So what do you do if your story is similar and you don't have or know anyone to surround yourself with? That's a great question. So how do we find people we want to surround ourselves with to become successful and wealthy? There we go. Okay. So here's what we do. Because that sounds like it's a question people want to know about, right? How do we create that circle of influence? Okay. You're not the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You're average of all of the people who surround you further and further out. It really makes a difference. So here's one of the first things I need you guys to do, write core qualities. I'm going to give you this list. Okay. So write down real quick on your paper, create core quality list. These core qualities are a list of qualities that I try and look for in people that I associate with. I want them to be healthy. I want there to be a level of spirituality. I want them to be self-aware, successful, positive. You define success here. I'm not defining it for you. Maybe they have a level of knowledge in a certain thing that I want to know more about, their outlook on life, their experience, ethics, wisdom, they're uplifting, they're patient, their ability to persevere, they're resilient. These core qualities, can everybody see these? Yes, everybody's on board. You can add more. You're not going to find many people that have all of them. Okay? If you are very lucky and over time, you can cultivate relationships with people that have many of these. Kind of a dream list, right? Now, some of those relationships will take time to develop. Some of them may replace relationships that you have now. How do I bring in people into the circle of influence? It goes beyond the 5 people. The 5 people are going to have the greatest influence over you, but the people that they spend time with, and then others, let's say your numbers 6 through 10 that you get information of, that you learn with, that you spend time with, they're still having a significant influence in your life, right? So if I can habitually create a habit, if I can create a habit to associate with certain people, it's still going to determine levels of my success, my happiness, my health, and everything else. Does everybody kind of understand these core qualities? I want you to take these and you're going to add to it, prioritize it, study it. Maybe you decide, maybe you look at it and you go, that's what I want. And obviously, things like family and love and all of this, that can be part of it. Please understand. Yeah, Mate, I'm going to talk about kind of where to find this. But the first thing you need to do, if you're looking for networks, if you're looking for people, you've got to first define who it is you're looking for. Okay. That's one of those main things. With the understanding that very few people are going to embody every single one of these elements. They're just not there. Right? There's this nonsense going on social media right now, and you can call it nonsense, or I'm calling it. You see these memes or things where they go, oh, here's a bunch of red flags. Well, guess what, guys? In friendships and everything else, there's red flags when it comes to relationships. And there's also green flags. But don't live in the fairy tale and assume that everybody is going to have every single element that you want, right? Very few of those people exist. And then to find them and try and get them to become influential in your life, now we're stepping even more. And that's why we have so many problems in today's world where, people create this idea that these gurus or this individual or that individual just embody all of these things. And then you find out that there's flaws, right? This is why there's problems with, clergymen around the world and churches and stuff, because you think that this preacher or this teacher or this coach or this executive is just perfect from all of these things. And then you find out something's wrong and your life is shattered. When you look at creating your own circle of influence, you have to understand not everybody is going to have all of these things, but I can find people that, that I can use as a mentor for health that are incredibly healthy, that live a healthy life, that pay attention to what they bring in, that, maybe they're involved in yoga or spirituality and that helps with their health, or they're doing other things, but their health is important and I can utilize them as part of that circle of influence for my health. Now that may be hiring a health coach or a personal trainer or someone else that, lives up to that standard, because I can create a habit of association with them. So some of these circles of influences may be created financially. Like I'm going to pay a mentor. I've got a couple of different mentors and coaches that I pay for them to be in my life because they're in a position that I want to be in. And they can help me elevate myself, right? You look at and you go, what, this person is happy. And not only do they and it's not just a social media happy. Every time that I encounter them, it is a truthful happiness that comes out. Because we also, when we're in tune with ourselves, and this is important too, when we are in tune with ourselves, we can tell when someone is fake happy, even in real life, right? You run across them and you go, there's the strain behind those eyes, something's wrong, right? And then other people that are just happy and content and peaceful. So understanding first, if we're going to go after networks, and I'm going to kind of get deeper into this, and I'm going to give you these things to look at, because you have your personal relationships and business relationships, and they can absolutely overlap, and they should in many cases. You've got to understand first yourself, and then you have to understand those core values. Okay. Is there any questions on that, on those statements? I was clear on that. So I'm going to give you these slides. Use these core qualities, but establish your own as well. Okay. So right now you have a network around you, your core group, your Power Five. You created already a list of the people that are around you. So I need you to look at, be honest, just show of hands, because everybody at the beginning hopefully wrote this down. The 5 people that you spent the most time with. How many of you, those 5, have someone that is like the healthiest person you know? How many of them is that healthiest person you know is on that core list of 5? A couple of you? Wow. Okay. How many of you, the person that is the most dramatic or frustrating that you know is on that core list of 5? Well, some of you guys are just lying. Okay, there we go. We got some honest people in there. And the same, look at it. So look at the 5 people you have, and then look at that first list and go, is the most successful person that I know, and again, success may not equate to wealth in your mind, is the most successful person I know on my core list of 5. And if they're not, how the hell do I get them there? What can I do that will put me more into their life so I can habitually associate? That's the key. You have to find a way to habitually associate with those people. Okay. It can't just be, I run into them at Easter, right? Family reunion, I see them once every 2 years. That doesn't work. You have to find a way to habitually associate with them. Forrest, I appreciate that. Good luck on your gig, my man. Go be great. Awesome. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, partners.
Sure. All right. So take the list that you have, figure out who they are, wisdom they have, power qualities. These last 2 questions are the most important ones. And if we want to, after the who, this question, how I can help them, is the most important one. Priority wise, this is the most important one. People that suffer with success, meaning people that suffer in lack of success, people suffer in lack of funds, people that suffer in lack of health and lack of happiness, typically ask this question first in every relationship setting. What's in it for me? How can they help me? You owe me this. I gave you that, you owe me this. Even if I hire a mentor or a coach, before I go, what the hell are they going to give me? I try and figure out a way that I can benefit them. Because if I pay someone $10,000 to coach me, most people would say, how can I 10x that? How can I get my money back? How do I make sure that I'm profitable with it? I go, who else or how else can I benefit their business so they get something out of this relationship that they weren't expecting? Because first off, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to make sure if I'm investing in them that I can get, obviously I want to make sure that their quality and there's benefit there. But if I can benefit them, how much further do you think that relationship will go? Right? I was talking earlier today. We've been in this for 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to get a little bit deep. If you guys want to, I can do a little bit more on this tomorrow on kind of the self-test and other things, but I want to tell a quick story and I don't want to record it. So we'll get a little bit more into some of this on the connecting and kind of where to find them and how to evaluate that tomorrow, if that's okay with everybody. Yeah? Is that all right? Is this helpful at all? This getting everybody thinking? Hopefully some. Okay.
I just want to say this is the first time that I've had this. And I just had an amazing conversation who said, listen in. And I have gotten so much already. I just am so happy with this new direction in my life.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys are watching on the recording, appreciate it. Always love you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. You miss out when you're not live. So hold on if you're live here. Just sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think.
Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are.